I have searched the internet, talked to vendors, salespeople to find the best quality grass seed that I could find at the best possible price, and I have found it. Used to have to do that when I was a golf course superintendent. At the end of the year, I'm seeding acres and acres and acres of grass, and a little bit, a quarter here or a nickel there off the per pound price can make a big difference, and I found a really great quality seed for your yard. That is a very low maintenance grass, and I'll get more into that in this video. I'm also going to show you soup to nuts of how to put it on your yard successfully so you get a great germination rate and it really comes in well. I'm going to show you everything you need to have a top quality yard for less than $150. So let's get started. Seed. How do we know what is top quality seed? I went to North Carolina State University's turfgrass research field day a few weeks ago. Here I am in front of the tall fescue National Turfgrass Evaluation Program plots. What they do is they grow grass varieties. You have species and you have varieties when we're talking about seed. Species is ryegrass, bluegrass, tall fescue, Bermuda grass, etc. Then you have varieties, and varieties are very important. This seed, for example, is this tag. I have 4 different types of tall fescue in that. 2 of these are going to be in the tall fescue variety that I'm going to recommend to you, and I found a great price on it. So anyway, what the National Turfgrass Evaluation Program does is they put these side by side and compare them and they grade them, the varieties of that particular species, and that determines or gives some guidance to turf professionals, homeowners, everyone of what works. They do it on a national level, so they grow it in Massachusetts, they grow it up in Michigan State, for example. They grow it even in Arizona and California, et cetera, so on and so forth. These top varieties in the grass seed that I'm going to recommend to you is in Calypso Tall Fescue Blend. There's 2 in there that are very, very strong performers on the National Turfgrass Evaluation Trials, and those are Rover and Providence, 2 of the varieties that are in this yard. So that is a very good blend of tall fescue. My visit has inspired me to use the channel to contribute to turfgrass research. If you scan this QR code with your mobile device while you're watching on television, it will take you to my last video. Then you can scroll down, find the super thanks, and contribute what you would like to contribute to turfgrass research. Part of the proceeds go to the channel, part of the proceeds go to the NC State Turfgrass Research. For those of you on mobile device, iPad or computer, you can simply scroll down the exact same way the folks did with the QR code, hit the super thanks button and contribute what you would like to see with the super thanks. And I appreciate the support. Many of you have watched the channel. I often talk about Twin City Seed, but I found a cheaper blend from Heritage. I get nothing at all from either one of these seed vendors. I just find these things to help you guys. This is my yard on August 6th of 2025, and this is my yard on August 29th of 2024. I overseeded this yard. Actually, this is the seed tag that I used. It did have Providence and Rover in it, and it really worked out really great. And that's the methodology that I'm going to show you how I renovated this yard in this video. Okay, I'm going to leave a QR code right here to Calypso Tall Fescue. If you guys have a little more acreage or square footage than 6,500 square feet, I did not find it in less than a 50-pound bag. You can go to the Artemis Tall Fescue. It's available with them in, I believe, they had a 10-pound bag, a 25-pound bag, and they also, of course, have a 50-pound bag in the Artemis. It is some very good varieties as well, not quite as good as the Calypso. Anyway, as far as seeding, you want to put this out. It has a seed coat on it, which actually supposedly, and it does. When I renovated, I actually renovated some greens. Similar methodology to what I'm showing you in this. I actually renovated some greens. Golf course had lost their greens. I went in on Labor Day, seeded them on Labor Day, and they actually were putting on them by Halloween. So I have a pretty good track record of growing stuff. So anyway, what you want to do is you want to put this out at around 8 to 10 pounds per thousand. What I'm telling you on 50-pound bag will do 6,500 square feet fairly comfortably. It's closer to that 8 pounds per thousand. Personally, I think some of these seed companies bump their up a little bit when they go up to that 10 pounds per thousand. I think that's a little high, more than what you would really need. So I think 8 pounds of this would be just fine. You may see online where tall fescue goes out to 5 to 7 pounds per thousand square feet. The reason why it's 8 is because of that seed coating. You have to account for that seed coating. It actually takes up space in the bag or in the poundage. How are we going to seed it? Okay. So I have a mower blade that basically what it does, it removes all of the grass on your yard. And it also, when you make several passes, will actually level the yard as well. Here I am putting it on, and it's very simple. You can actually get it on my Amazon storefront. I'll leave a QR code here to the tools list. That will take you straight there. You can buy it there. You put that on your mower, and then you want to go over it twice with that. Once when you've done that, that not only removes the weeds, organic material, etc., so on and so forth on your yard, but it also scrapes the grass with those springs, or actually scrapes the soil with those springs and creates a nice seed bed. So really, it's as easy as pushing your mower right over top of your yard. You want to do it twice, then you'll go in and collect all that. I just used a tarp, put it on the tarp because I'm going to use it later, and raked it all up, put it on the tarp, and slided it over the driveway. Then what you're going to want to do is you're wanting to blow all of that off your yard. And any type of organic material, debris, leaves, or anything else, you want to get all that off your yard. Then you want to make a third pass with that mower blade on your mower. And here's me making the third pass. And what that's going to do is that is going to level that yard out. It really does hit the high spots and makes them nice and level. Some guys want to level a yard with sand. This is going to use a native soil. I talk about this in my leveling videos if you guys want to check that out, as far as using different types of materials to level off your yard. This is pretty safe, if you will, by using the native soil, and you don't get that layering effect that I talked about in my leveling video. So that's the third pass, and there you can see how level that yard is and how great the seed bed is prepared. I wanted to tell you about this video sponsor, Wild Badger, and their new 4-in-1 tool. It is a weed eater. It is a hedge trimmer, a powerful hedge trimmer. I've been trying to tame this bush for quite some time, and this thing went right through it. It's a very easily adjustable head, cuts with precision. Here's the 10-inch chainsaw bar going through this 10-inch limb. I like the reach and being able to be that far away from where I'm cutting, which is a safer way to go. Here I am cutting up that limb for the backyard fire pit. How hard is it to switch from saw to weed eater to hedge trimmer? Let's take a look. Anything that's too big for the weed eater or too small for the chainsaw, you can use the brush cutter, and it cuts right through these smaller saplings very nicely and cleans this up very well. Not only is this a great value, it also saves a lot of space in your garage having all these in one tool. Then you want to go and look at a few areas that you may have compaction on. You may have a few areas near landscape beds that you may need to get in there, and you really want that grass seed to work really well. Sometimes that mower can't get to the edge, so you want to do a little bit of edging there. You can simply take a field rake and go over it really well, and that disturbs that soil. You just want a nice little seed bed for that seed to settle in there and get on. Once when you've done all of that, then simply seed it. There again, we want to put this out at around 8 pounds per 1,000 square feet. Once when you have seeded it, then we want to kind of work that seed into the soil just a bit. Now, when I used to do golf course greens on grow-ins, I've done several golf course greens grow-ins, new greens. We would take a little vehicle, if you will, like this called a Sand Pro. And it has a little, if you see the all-terrain tires, they basically have little squares on it. What we would do, we'd seed that new green, and then we would run that Sand Pro over in different angles. For example, we kind of have a clock, from one to 7 to 3 to 9, et cetera, so on and so forth. So we'd want to do that in different directions. Now, you obviously don't have a Sand Pro. No problem at all going out with your riding lawnmower. Even if you have a side-by-side, you don't want to make a whole bunch of turns because you don't want to disturb the soil too much. You just want to run over that seed and push it down just a little bit. No, you're not going to damage the seed unless you go crazy with it and do donuts. You're not. What you want to do, you want to get that good soil seed contact. Now, if you have a roller, I'm just trying to get something that you would have where you're not going to have to go out and buy a roller, but I have a roller. Pulled it with a golf cart, and that pushed that seed down there very nicely, and it does a great job. What we used to see on golf greens was when we took that Sand Pro over top of it, there again, you got those square tires, we'd have little squares all over the yard every few days, or all over the green a few days later, because that's where that soil seed contact was the best. And that really does make a huge difference. So anyway, we've got it rolled in. Then we're going to take our what we had left over, all the litter that we had, the organic material, the dead grass, et cetera, so on and so forth. And then you're simply going to mulch it back on. Now, if you're watching this video and going to do this late summer or very, very early fall, this is not going to be a big deal because it should be dry anyway. You really want to remove that material when it's dry. You don't want to run the mower blade over the yard when you have heavy dew or something like that. So you want to start that process sometime after 1 o'clock, where that canopy is dry and it removes it a lot better and it's a little bit easier to deal with when it's dry. Now, if you are watching in the spring, the likelihood, and going to do this in the spring, and I'm going to tell you about chemical or herbicide control if you're having to do it in the spring, because it is an issue, and I'll get to more of that here in a minute. But you want to put it on that tarp in the spring, and then you want to take it over to your driveway and leave it out in the sun pretty much all day. And you might want to do that for a day, maybe 2, because what's going to happen coming out of winter is that leaf blade is going to have a lot of water in it. Summer, it's not a big deal because it's fairly dry and a lot of that water's out of that leaf blade. So if you leave it on that tarp, and there again, in the spring, fluff it up a bit, leave it out in the sun all day, pulling it at night before your dew falls on it, don't get any more water on it, pull it back in the garage. Next day, pull it back out, let the sun maybe fluff it a little bit, let the sun hit it. Then it should be workable for you to put back on your yard. So it's going to be a little different in the spring than it is in the fall. Fall, it's not a big deal. Should be loose enough to where you can put it back on your yard. Don't want to put it horribly thick, okay? You may have to work it around or anything else, and be cognizant of check it after probably 5 days and make sure it's not too thick. And those areas that are too thick, I have noticed areas that are too thick germinate very well, but you want to be able to, after that 5th or 6th day after it pops, after it gets about an inch tall, you want to start removing that mulch so you can get good sunlight to that new seedling so it can start photosynthesizing and actually making its own energy. Thing you want to be sure to do. There again, we're doing this on a budget, right? We don't want to spend any more water than we absolutely have to. It does need to stay moist for at least 7 days, probably a little more. And you may have to do some supplemental water. Schedule this to where you're going to get some decent rain over the next 4 to 5 days. Don't do it during a drought. And I'll get more in the timing here in a minute. But try to time this. Take a day off work if you have to. And this is what I used to do when I overseeded golf courses in the fall, is I'd go out, do my fairways, do my tees. Even though I had irrigation, I'd still do it when Mother Nature was going to help me out a little bit, because it takes a lot of it takes a little bit of the margin of error out of it if you have good weather coming in, meaning 2 or 3 days of good rain, even cloud cover. Now, how much should you keep it moist? You really want to keep it moist until it's at least should water it if you don't get any precipitation. Water at 11 o'clock. If you have sprinkler heads, probably run them for about 10 minutes, about 7 to 10 minutes. You want to keep it moist. Run at 11, 1, 4, And that should cover you, maybe 6, particularly in the fall. Spring, it's actually not that big a deal. You could probably get by with maybe a 1 o'clock and a 4 o'clock quick irrigation, and you'll be just fine. And that's what I had to do. When I actually did this yard, and I actually did another yard too, and did spot treatment down there. You'll see in that overseeding video. Actually, we had that drought, and I had to go out quite a bit and water quite a bit. So that is going to cut your cost. But really, the only thing you're paying for here is the seed itself and a mower blade. That's it. And that will get you a top quality yard. Fertilizer, may be asking that. Okay, fair question. However, the reason why they include that in the main price is right now prices are pretty good at Lowe's. I did a video from Lowe's about a month ago and showed you starter fertilizer. That's that middle number in the fertilizer bag. You have nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. That middle number, which is phosphorus, that's critical for seedling vigor. Now, you may not need phosphorus. I have a soil test video where I show you how to take a soil test, how to fill out the paperwork, how to submit the results, and read them. And I'll put the QR code here to that because it's really important. If you use this QR code, there again, all these are in the description for his comment. This QR code will take you to a website that you'll be able to get a soil test, typically for free or usually less than $20. And it's from these land grant colleges that do the NTEP trials, unbiased, and they're really a good help. And oftentimes, some of these soil tests cost $30, $40, and they're from private labs, and they also have a fertilizer brand that they're trying to sell you, and sometimes their results, quite honestly, are confusing. These land grant colleges give you great results, and they're very easy to read, particularly if you watch the video for it. But typically what I've seen in a lot of soil tests that I have taken, and the ones that are actually on the Facebook page, you guys, they're thrown up there, which is not a bad thing. Have a Facebook page. Here's a QR code to the Facebook page. A lot of you has phosphorus already in your yard, so there's really no sense in adding it. You will need nitrogen, though. And you can go to your local Lowe's, see what deals they have. Check out that video. I'll give you great guidance on the types of products that are there that you can use for fertilizer. But you can get great deals on fertilizer right now. And I would think you could, I know the starter fertilizer that they had from Scott's, which was a great one. I think it was like $7 a bag, and it did like, I think it might have been 5 to 7 pounds. So that's $21 of fertilizer, starter fertilizer you'd have in that Scott's product. I think it was $7. Anyway, it's in that video. So that should take care of your fertilizer, and you can get it cheap this time of year. Weed control. Here's the other thing. Again, in that Lowe's video, I showed you a starter fertilizer with Mesotrione in it, which is a Scott's for seeding. Here's my post-emergent herbicide ideas list on Amazon. You can go there anytime. This is all products that I've either used, know about, because the same active ingredient I used when I had golf courses, or they're just really good products. So anyway, you can go there. They do have the Scott's for seeding. That is a Mesotrione is the active ingredient. It can be put out at seeding. It gives you pre-emergent activity, meaning it prevents weeds from coming up, and post-emergent activity, meaning it actually controls, particularly in the fall, poa-annua. So not only are you going to get post-emergent control of poa-annua, you're also going to get pre-emergent control of poa-annua during a time of year where the majority of your poa-annua germinates, about 50 to 70% between the time the soil temperatures go down below 70 degrees at 2-inch depth, clear into January. So if you have that post-emergent, if you have Mesotrione out there as a pre-emergent herbicide working for you, you're going to have a lot less poa-annua in your yard. Anyway, so there's a granular in the Scott's for seeding. May get a deal on that somewhere. I also have on my post-emergent herbicide list on Amazon storefront 3 generic Mesotriones. Tenacity is the name brand, if you will. I don't see a whole lot of difference between Tenacity and the other. Where I would use Tenacity, for those of you who are more quote-unquote advanced and want post-emergent activity on poa-annua, I'd be more inclined to use that in the spring when poa-annua is a little bit more mature and it's hard to control. And I would also then, on any of those products in the spring, when you're wanting to go after post-emergence for poa-annua, go ahead and put in a surfactant into that. And I do have a surfactant that goes into that if you're looking at post-emergent activity on poa-annua. If you really are looking for renovation, you're wanting to kill everything, this is another option. I got it really cheap on my Amazon storefront, this glyphosate product. you can actually put glyphosate on your yard and seed the next day. So the methodology there, if you're wanting total control and you're really wanting to do this, and I will say this, fortune favors the bold when you're renovating a yard. So you would want to put that glyphosate product on it, and it's really cheap. Put that on there, and that would kill everything, and you want to wait and then start with that mower blade the next day. The reason being, it doesn't hurt the seedlings. It just, you want it to be absorbed by the plant. So it's about 24 hours later, let it get into the plant, then you can go take it and rip it all up and tear all that in. Now, the reason why I'm standing here is because this is Bermuda grass. I actually have this in my yard, and this is the methodology that I used when I had ryegrass and I converted over to Bermuda grass. I'm in zone 6B. The USDA, getting the timing here. USDA plant hardiness has zones, and they have A's and B's in there too, so it's subheadings, if you will, of the particular zones. I'm in zone 6. So give you some timing about on October 21st. Past then, I'm kind of pushing the envelope when I'm seeding here. So if you're watching this video on October 12th and you happen to be in zone 6 like I am, by the time you get all your seed in, you're going to be pushing the envelope. You ought to wait till spring. That's why I mentioned the spring in here as far as doing it in the spring. No crime in doing that. So those of you in zone 5, you're about a week to 10 days behind me, meaning that's going to probably be in the neighborhood of your cutoff date's going to be October 14th, 10th, 14th in that regard. Zone 4, you're going to be 10 to 14 days, so you're probably looking 1st of October. Past that, it's kind of sketchy if you're really going to have success in seeding, so wait till spring. The other thing you can do is you can pre-germinate your seed. I'll have a pre-germination video here. What you do is you soak your seed for 2 days, and we're looking tall fescue. You can go 3, and you will need to put it in a bucket. And I put a little fish bubbler in mine there. Again, check out that video if you want to do this. And I think this is more of a spring activity than anything else, because I have noticed in the fall and late summer, I think soil temperatures so up. I don't think pre-germination makes that big of a difference, but it does in the spring. It really does, because the soil temperatures are colder. However, and it's a little fussy to get out, particularly if you're doing a whole yard. It's not so bad. I did mine when I hand seeded, but I show you how to blend it with sand and where you can still get it out. Your seeding rate is going to be better if you don't pre-germinate in the fall. So I'm not a big fall pre-germination guy, but I do tell you, if you're looking for this in the spring, that is a good way to go. Or if you're looking to seed patches that didn't come in last fall, that's a great way to go. Go with the pre-emergent, or pardon me, go with that pre-germination. But that gives you an idea of some options that you have that you can do in addition to what you have. Now, I'll give you a last one. I did a video a week ago about doing the bad spots in your yard. And if you're seeing bad spots that come up year after year after year after year in the same spot, you probably have a compaction issue. You probably have a water infiltration issue. And I go over it in this video. And there, I have it on my soil amendments list on my Amazon storefront. Leave a QR code here. Turfus and Fielder's Choice, I believe, is the other. They're out of Fielder's Choice last I checked, but they still have the Turfus product. You don't have to do that. Blend that in there, but that would make it a little bit better, because with that Turfus, and I go over that in that video, and that Fielder's Choice product, you're actually adding a little bit more water holding capacity and nutrient holding capacity of that soil if you blend it in with that sand. So I go over, take a little core aerator like this, and I have it on my tools list. Here's my QR code for the tools list. You want to go there and check it out. But you can take the little cores out. And you can either take it with that little core, or you could take it out with the soil probe, and basically take those cores out, and then you're going to get those out, and then you're going to fill that up with the sand, or if you want to, go with that ceramic aggregate and blend it up. I show you in that video. You can go with straight sand. And what I would do at Lowe's while you're there checking things out, and if you want to do this to make sure these spots don't die out again next year, is get you some masonry sand. I actually used this. It was in a tracker. It's actually unclean masonry sand, but ideally you want to use the other. They were out of it, so I just grabbed the field tracker. It is a little cheaper because in that tracker, it's 70 pounds per, it looks like a sock to me. 70 pounds per sock, but in the bag, it's 50 pounds, and they're the same price. Last time I checked, they're about $7. So you're getting a little bit more with that unwashed. Ideally, if you guys are into top dressing, I'd stick with the mason sand, the clean mason sand, because you don't want to get that layering there again. I'll talk about that in my video. Lastly, this is Bermuda grass. Those of you who really want a low maintenance yard, this is an option. And there again, I did this in May of 2017. Again, I'm in zone B. Want to do it after, if you're looking spring, you can go out with Yukon Bermuda grass if you're in zone 7 or above, Monaco if you're 7 or below. I have that on my seed ideas list on my Amazon storefront. There's the QR code for that. You can use the exact same methodology that I have in, except you cannot use Mesotrione to do that, because Mesotrione, by the way, will take care of any Bermuda grass in your cool season yard too, which I have some in the other yard. Anyway, so here's what you can do, and I'll probably do a video on this in the spring. But if you really want a low maintenance yard, you can go ahead and kill everything off and then seed Bermuda grass in it. It does go dormant. Mine here in zone 6B goes dormant about Halloween. And it does look kind of weird because I'm in an area where all these are cool season grasses. However, it doesn't get any disease. I had 9 weeks with very little rain last year, and I think I hand watered it twice. And this is where it really shines. It goes into dormancy. It looks brown from about the time the leaves fall off the trees to the time the leaves come back on the trees. It does look a little weird. I did it as an experiment back in 2017, and I've kind of stuck with it. You can actually overseed this with ryegrass, or if you want to, for year-long beauty, if you will, you want to spend some money, you can put some bluegrass in it, make Bermuda, which I'm thinking about doing that. Not going to do it this year. I'll do it next year. I said that last year too. But anyway, but this is a very low maintenance grass. And if you really are looking at a budget, this is not a bad move. You will see this when you put it out. Go ahead and go with that glyphosate. Go ahead and go with that mower blade. Rip everything out. Seed your Bermuda. Because the seed is much smaller, you're only going to go out with about 1.5 pound to 1.5 pounds tops. And once when it starts growing, it'll creep like a champ. And it's a nitrogen hog. It takes a lot of nitrogen, but you won't see any disease in it, and it rarely gets drought stress unless you guys are in Texas, and most of you guys are in Texas. Most of you guys who do not have this in the transition zone, I'm talking zone 7 and up, probably once when you get to zone 5, I don't think it will work that well, but those of you that are in zone 6, like I am, and zone 7, it's a great option. Those guys in Asheville, North Carolina, for example, or Greensboro West, if you will, because I lived in North Carolina for a while, but in that zone 6B, 7, it's not a bad option as well. So anyway, I wanted to give those options here at the end if you're wanting to look at other venues and other options. But that is how to get a yard established on the cheap with a great quality seed. So anyway, I hope this helped. And anyway, I keep on saying, actually, to establish a pretty good yard, it's not that complicated. It really isn't, nor is it that hard to do if you kind of know the little bit of tricks of the trade and how to do it. So hope this helps. Leave comments down below. If you want to join the Facebook page, you can get some questions answered there by both myself and other experts. And don't forget about that contribution to NC State University turfgrass research. I would appreciate that. You can give that in super thanks. And anyway, I hope it helps. And it really, leave comments down below if you've had some success with any of my videos. And remember, it's not that complicated. Appreciate you watching. Thanks.